Chris Hope coming to you again on screenwriting per me from the man cave yet again. Today, let's start talking about antagonists, the bad guy, the opposite of your protagonist. This is the one who stands in the protagonist's way. Um, Basically, they're opposition. They're the resistance. They're trying between them and their goal. Doesn't always have to be the bloodthirsty killer. It can be the you know old lady principal, that doesn't want the kid to graduate. It doesn't have to be the classic gun-toting, mustached villain. It can be any number of things. In fact, that's what we'll talk about is types of bad guys. Um, First things first with bad guys. Your story, like it or not, your movie, like it or not, will only be as good as the bad guy. If your bad guy sucks, your movie will suck. This is not a maybe. This is not a sometimes. No. This is 100% foolproof. If your bad guy is no good, your movie will suck. If your bad guy is sort of then your movie will be And if your bad guy is freaking awesome, then it's a good chance your movie might just be freaking awesome. As your bad guy goes, so goes your movie. The key to a good bad guy is simplicity. What do they want? What is their goal? And if you can say that in a phrase or sentence, then you're better off. If you have a convoluted scheme to the bad guy, a convoluted, I don't know what he want. I didn't get what his goal was. It's like, I don't know what he wanted to accomplish. Then you might have yourself a problem. All right, so types of bad guy. There's the traditional bad guy. They're the killer, the thief, they sort of go against the laws of decency. That's your Darth Vader, the Joker, Nazis. That's your traditional bad guy in a movie. Another type of bad guy is your force of nature. Force of nature antagonist. Well, not so much bad guy, but antagonist. Force of nature antagonist would be, the asteroid in Armageddon. It would be, the tornadoes and Twister. You get the idea. Perfect storm, the ocean, the elements. That is your antagonist. And another type of antagonist would be what I would call the opposing will. And that would be, the father who forces his son to play football when the son doesn't want to. It would be the mother who wants her daughter to go to college instead of pursuing, her acting career in New York. Or the aforementioned, I mentioned the principal of the kid that graduate. That would be your opposing will. They got to be dealt with. That type. Not all villains have to be met and killed in the end. There's different ways to overcome a villain or an antagonist rather. So a lot of times immature writers will not see that conflict is necessary for all stories. I don't care if you're writing a romantic comedy. I said this in one of the other lessons. You have to have conflict for anything to be worth a darn. The better your antagonist, the richer, deeper, more compelling. All those good critic type words, they'll come from the villain. Okay. There's also two other types of villain that I want to mention. Let me scroll down here on my cheat little notes here. And the antagonist is a lot like your protagonist, the opposite. I remember I stressed the flawed protagonist. You also need your antagonist to have something that you can grab onto, something. And even the worst of villains have something you can grab onto. And I'm not saying a positive characteristic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, you have to put some shred of humanity into a horrible character. Because sometimes evil characters are great because they are so completely evil. Okay? So I'm not saying that you have to put some sort of decency in them or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have to put a trait in them that makes them appealing in some way, and that would be like the sympathetic villain. And one of the examples of a sympathetic villain might be like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. You kind of feel sorry for Gollum. He's he's the bad guy. He's just creepy and lecherous. And he's totally corrupted by evil, and he'll kill the hobbits at any moment. But you sort of feel sorry for him. You're sympathetic because he's almost like a drug addict that just it got out of his control. So you have this. You just feel sympathetic for him on a small scale. It doesn't overcome the fact that he's creepy and you know he's evil and has to die and be destroyed, but it's still there. Okay. Another trait to consider putting in your villain is the envy, where he's enviable. Hannibal Lecter was so smart and so intelligent, and he was so completely evil. It was just a way he dissected people with his mind. It's kind of enviable. He's like, God, he's so cool that he could just do that to people. Darth Vader was just the Force and just choking people and manipulating their minds at will with just his own mental powers. They're using the Force. You envy that. That's cool. I'd like to be that guy for just a day. The Joker, in some way, Heath Ledger's the Joker from The Dark Knight. He was so intelligent and twisted and completely evil on another level of just he had no regard and no holds barred. That in some way, it was he almost envied this sort of just liberation from all rules. He didn't play by the rules of humanity. And in some way, that's kind of an enviable thing. We all wish we could just do what the heck we want. Not to Joker levels, but it's you understand, you're trying to appeal to some primal aspects of people. And if you can find a way to appeal to humans' animal nature with your villain, you can create a higher impact villain, or antagonist rather. I keep saying villain, but I'm really trying to say antagonist because I don't want you to assume I mean only, the bad guy that has to die in the end. I want you to also consider your antagonist to be all these things: the principal who won't budge, the asteroid coming to Earth, the rabid dog running loose, and your serial killer and your bank robber, and so on and so forth. Your antagonist will make or break your movie, and you have to have a good, solid one. And we'll talk more about antagonists on the next one. So stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.